390 Wagon Master here. Today I am going to show you how to put a Crimp PL-259 connector on a piece of RG8X or RG8 Mini. And this is just how I do it. So I'm not saying this is the right way, but this is how I do it. And it's been working for me. So I had to order up a new batch of stuff, so I'm a little rusty at it. So we're going to do this together. I'm making a short jumper here for an old Drake TVI filter that I want to put in line here. So this is a little 1.5-foot jumper. I don't really care about the length, but here's what you need to do. Do this first. Okay, I put on the heat shrink, the collar first. That's the most important thing, absolutely the most important thing. Especially if you get the other end on. Like if you don't have an end on right here, you're okay if you forget, but you can't forget when you do that other end. So just get in the habit of it. And then I take and put the screw collar on. So sometimes I'll take a piece of tape, like if this isn't a long piece of coax, I'll just take a piece of tape and put right here like a flap so this stuff can't go down any further, but we'll see what happens. Anyway, so I start off by taking off about 1.5 inches worth of the outer jacket, and I find that these work really good. And I lost my other one, but Eric sent this over to me a while ago. But anyway, this is a little cable stripper for Cat 5 cable, I guess Cat 3 to 6. This is a Milwaukee. I'll leave links to some of this stuff down below. But what I found on these is my old one lined up actually a little different, and this one I think is nicer. But what I did is I found that if I take this blade here and I raise it to be even with this bottom piece of the jowl here, okay, I can strip off a piece of this and not even take a braid off, or one at maximum. So anyway, you know, roughly about 1.5 inches. So before I do that, let me just show you what else we use. I use a dental pick, some crimpers. These are optional, of course. You'll notice that you see no razor blades, no razor knives. I just don't believe in doing that on coax. So I have some little X lights, well, Wellers, whatever, and a pair of crimps. And these, you're going to use the 1/4-inch hexagon here, okay, the 1/4-inch one. What is it? 0.250, 255, whatever. I mic'd those out one time. Anyway, it's a 1/4-inch, but it's like 0.251, I think, on those. They're not very accurate. So anyway, okay, so some little trimmers. You got to have the crimping tool. Don't do it any other way. Do the crimping tool. You don't need to get an expensive one. This is kind of this is an old school one. You don't need to spend like $100, but you can get these on Amazon really cheap. I'll throw a link in there somewhere. And then, of course, my favorite crimpers of all time, the old Matco WT 330s. These are the A's with the yellow handle. The 330s are with the red handle, and you can also get these under, oh gosh, one of the trade names at Home Depot. Anyway, okay, so we're going to take off 1.5 inches. That's what I do, because I'd rather have the wiggle room and have to cut a little bit off the tip there. So I take this tool, I put on here at about 1.5 inch mark. So I'm just kind of guesstimating here, and you just go 1, 2, 3, 4. Okay, take it off, and we'll see how out of adjustment that is. Look at that, nothing came off. Okay, so we're looking good. So the next thing to do, and I usually actually use a marker, but I'm just going to use my finger. So what I do here now is we're going to go in here. We're going to take all this off down to about a 1/4 inch. So if you're not too sure, you can just kind of line it up and measure it. And basically what I'm doing is I'm getting the end of this connector, and I want it to butt right up to this coax right here. Okay, so I want this to butt up to that. So, and we don't really want it to flange out here. It's not going to hurt it. It just doesn't look as good. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to mark this with my thumb at about right here. Okay, I guess you could measure it. I believe that's about 1/4 inch. And then very carefully, we're just going to go and trim with your sharp cutters around here. And you know, I'm kind of just barely biting in to the white insulation because I really don't want to nick it, but this just makes it easier if you just kind of take your time. Sorry, doing that off camera. New setup here, I'm trying to figure it out, guys. Anyway, basically like that, and you'll just get it to slide off like that. Now we have a couple pieces left over, but we can just take the trimmers and go a little bit like that. All right, so that's pretty good. Not too much swag laying down there. So I want to go back up here and just double check because I can make corrections if I need to. And I think that's going to give me enough crimp space, no problemo. Okay, so the next thing I'm going to do is I'm going to take this off, the center conductor. We're going to strip this on number 14. Okay, so we're going to go right down. I'm going to pretty much kiss right up to that. Okay, so we're going to go on the number 14. I'm going to go like this, and then like this, and this should just pull off. And what we're going to do is when we pull, yep, cool, this goes clockwise. We're just going to, as we're pulling this off, I'm going to twist it clockwise. Okay, better heat up my pen here. I got to plug in the soldering iron. Didn't do that. Okay, well, while I'm waiting for that, which should only take about a minute, we're going to do a little trial fit. Generally, before I do a trial fit, I do like to give this a little bit of tin. So actually, while the soldering pen's warming up, I'm going to do this. This is where the dental pick comes in handy. Now, if you've ever fought these, like to push that collar up and around, like if you just put this down on here and let this spread out here, a lot of times, I mean, this kind of depends on the coax, but a lot of times you can't get this collar up over this outer shaft piece here. So what's doing that is you are fighting the copper, because what they're doing is they're actually overlapping. So we're going to pick these away, and everywhere they crisscross, we're going to just pull the dental pick through. You could use like a little tiny jeweler's screwdriver. I've done that too, but I do prefer the picks. Thank you, Johnny boy. Old UDX38 gives me these dental picks. Gave me a few anyway. So I had to custom heat shrink them though. Anyway, my pen should pretty much be heated up by now. Let's see. Let me look over there and see. Yeah, we're there. So I'm going to hit this at about like 750 degrees or so. Okay, so I've got that like that. And what we're going to do now is we're just going to splay out this braiding. Okay. And I want it to go straight out like this. I don't really want it to twist. I don't want to create any high spots because I want to make loading that I want to make putting that collar on, I should say, easy for me. Okay, so what you'll want to do is you'll want to get up on it, and you're going to want to make sure that we've got no little hairs shorting out there. And I guess you can use a meter, and sometimes I'll do this meter, and I'm a little rusty right now, but what I do is I'll take my meter right and I'll just throw it on the noise. So if I've got a short, I get that sound. So I've got that fired up. Anyway, let's do this. Let's put a little tin on there, and then we will put the connector on. All right, cool. So I have this off camera. I don't use these for coax because I don't like it when these bite in to the coax. All right, and so what I like to do is I'll either use my crimpers, because this is how I used to do it out in the field. I would do it like this. And where's my solder? There it is. Get rid of some of this spang solder. And I'm just going to give this little collar right here. That's all I'm going to do. And I only want to, what I'm doing this for is I'm tinning this, but when I go to fit this on here, I'm not splaying any of those out. So there we go. You can't see what I'm saying. When you go to put it back in, you can't get any of the little hairs that come out. Now, I found this coax on Amazon. I'll leave a link to it. This is supposedly made in USA, and it's braided center conductor. So what I'm going to do is I'm just going to do a test fit. I'm just going to make sure that, like, you know, there's nothing that's going to come out, you know, and fray out and just kind of make it look goofy. I don't really want that effect. If you have an issue or something like that, you can just take your little clippers and go along here like so. Okay, now I've done this both ways. I have soldered this on first and then slid the collar up, or I'll put the collar on first and then solder it. So either way, kind of doesn't matter. And like I say, I haven't done one of these for a while, so I'm going to go the old way here. I'm going to go the way I learned. So this should push on fairly easy. Now, if you get to a point where it doesn't, see, and I want to, there's a little hair I want to clip. I'm OCD, that'll drive me up the wall. Just drive me up the wall. I'll feel that every time I touch this thing. So what you do, or what I'll do sometimes, is I'll just go and take these and I'll just get it started just enough, and then what I do is I use this to hold that collar in, and I just go like that, plop. Okay. Now I haven't made any marks here. I haven't damaged anything. Now, if you're new to these connectors, you can get out your little meter here, okay, and you can just see that we have no hairs touching, so we've got no noise here, so we're good to go. All right. Next, this is where the crimpers come in handy, and like I say again, it's important you have the right ones. And these crimpers I used in my cell phone installing days, so I don't know where my other jowls are. I don't have any of the bigger ones for the RG8U or anything like that. But anyway, I'm going to use my 1/4-inch jowls here. And because I force that together, I know that I'm right up on it right here. So that's looking good. So I'm just going to give that a little crimp. Leave it basketed in here. So sometimes I'll leave this collar up like this. But I have heat shrink for this stuff. So I'm actually just going to finish off the end. My jowls are just not quite wide enough. Okay. So there we go. All right. So now let's throw the heat shrink on. Okay. Let me get my, I got to go source my heat gun. All right. Should have got that out first. Should have put that in my list of tools. You can use a lighter if you want, something like that, or a little torch. I prefer to not do that, okay? So we haven't made a mess. I mean, I've got a couple little legs here, but using this is the key. Using that, and then of course the proper size hole on there. So let's heat this up. Let's get the old heat gun out. And this is, I'll leave links to these connectors down below. I found these on Amazon. These work pretty good. What I'm going to do is, as I'm soldering, or as I'm hitting it with the heat gun, I'm going to take my fingers and push it up, push it in towards that part of the connector. Just until I get it going. And I usually start up here first. And it does pull back a little bit. Now this has the glue in it. So I'm going to heat this up a little more than I usually do, because this has that glue. That's why I like these connectors. And the price was not bad on these at all. But this stuff does pull back a little bit. If you didn't do that technique that I was showing you, where I was taking and putting a little pressure on it, this actually pulls back even more. So anyway, that's that. Now we're kind of committed. I mean, you could again, you could go and let me put that on there. I just get that started so it doesn't flop around. This is going to take a good 5 minutes or so to set up. If you're still not sure of your work, double check yourself. I hear nothing. We don't want that sound. Okay, now let me clear the area. All right, so generally what I'll do is I'll let this cool off. So because this is still really pliable, that glue's got to set up. And generally what I will do is I will take and put this in the jowls and just go like this, okay? But up a little further, but I think this will work. Get the old pen out. Put a little dab of solder on the tip. Get her in there to start heating up the center lead. Apply some solder. Let her wick in there. Like I say, I'm at like 800 degrees. Okay. So this is some some solder I found on Amazon. I lost my good stuff. I've been using this, and I like to use these tubes, this Delta solder. I guess I could leave a link to this down below, but I even wrap my own solder. When I get the good Kessler or whatever, I'll take and I'll wrap around a pen and I'll put in these. I like using this. I'll spool it off. I'll spool off of like, I don't know, 10 feet, and then wrap it around a pen or a pencil, and then put it in this tube. And this is how I store it, just like that. So that works out good. All right, so we'll take our little cutters here. We'll give her a little snippy. Okay, we're looking good. This is one thing that's a little odd about these new style connectors, but anyway, I find these to work out really well, and I try not to futz around with them. Like if I'm not making a video on this, I would actually just go up and make a glass of tea or something while this is setting up. But when this stuff sets up, it gets pretty stiff. I'm pretty happy about these. These are, I think, the Moon Kerf connectors, and they seem to work really well. And of course, one last check. We'll just check for shorting. I mean, we know we're not going to, but there we go. So anyway, I don't know. Look, that's just how I do these connectors, and I like them. I'm learning to like these a lot better than the standard PL-259s where we used to have the 4 holes in there and everything like that. I mean, I've had good luck with those. I've had bad luck with them, and I've had good and bad luck with these, but this seems to be the way everybody's going right now. Not that I follow how other people go, but I want to be open-minded about it, and the previous cables I've made using these have worked out really well. However, the last ones I got, I think, were Blue Sea or something. They were super, super spendy during COVID. It was the only ones I could get. I ran out of them, so I ordered these Moon Kerfs, and these seem to be pretty nice. I kind of like that. If you're going to be in a tight space, you could maybe cut this down a little bit, but I do like having this extra strain relief, especially with this glue in there. All right, you guys, there you go. Not much of a mess. Again, just modify you one of these. You might want to do a practice piece or two, but like I say, I got my blade lined up with the bottom of that jaw right there, and that works perfect. As you saw, I didn't cut one piece, so I didn't damage it. All right, please leave questions or comments down below, and thanks for watching. Cheers.